Okay, welcome everybody. It's a little bit after 10 o'clock. My name is Jim Cerny and I'm conducting today on Zoom. And the title of the class is all about file extensions. And the series of classes that I'm teaching is all basic Windows. So we have Drew King and Diane that have computer experience probably a lot more than I do attending to help. And I'm getting an on connection. This happened yesterday too. I'm going to have to call the my provider because my internet occasionally goes out now. So I hope that doesn't happen. But I want to welcome you all and thank you for attending. I don't know if we'll continue these classes for only 2 or 3 people that attend to gain knowledge. I'm very thankful that other people attend to help support me and to help me answer questions. I appreciate that very much. But if they help, but they probably have more knowledge than I do about file types and whatever topic I bring out. So anyway, today we're talking about file types, and I'd like to start by giving you a little history of what a file type is and why they exist. And I think it'll help you understand why they happen and why we have to be concerned with them occasionally. Okay. If we go back several years when computers ran only one at a time, you would program the computer with a program like COBOL or Fortran or whatever. You write a program, and that program was unique. Okay. Nobody else wrote the same program. And most likely, if you work for a company, you didn't share that program with anybody. It was written by you and the company owned it and it was run in your data center. And say it was a payroll program, okay? You wanted to pay people. You wrote the program to pay employees. Well, then you have to have data. And the data could be on a disk, but in those bygone days, it was on magnetic tape. And you would have to tell the computer operator what program you were running, where the program was located in memory, and the program could have been on a tape as well. So that's why a lot of old computer data centers that were small data centers, they still had 2 tape drives because for the program and one was for the data. And in fact, when personal computers came out, they would have 2 disk drives, A and B. And one drive was used for the program and one drive was used for the data. Most of the time. It was flexible, of course. So anyway, you would tell the operator, this is the program to load into the computer to run. And this is the tape that has the data on it of all the employees. And this tape has to be mounted while the program is running. And the program would start running and look for that tape and start running the data through the program and you'd process payroll. Well, how did you know that that data tape went with that program? Well, you had to tell the computer operator. You only ran one program at a time, so it wasn't very complicated. And if you only had one tape, which was hopefully all you needed for data, it wasn't that complicated. If he mounted the wrong tape, he or she mounted the wrong tape, you get an error. The program soon realized that the data on that tape was not the data that was expected. Maybe it wasn't the employee's name or hourly salary rate. Maybe it was a supplier name or something, and it didn't match. The characters didn't match what the program was expecting to use. So the tape would be rejected and the operator would call you up and said, I mounted the tape you told me to, it's not working, what do I do? And we checked to see if it was the correct tape and maybe it was not, and they'd find the correct tape and mount it. So the bottom line for the old story is that the data went with the program, okay? You wrote a program and the data was expected to be in a certain format. The name first, then the social security number, then the rate of pay, and each field was a certain character length. And your program was written to accept that field of a certain length so it could process the payroll. Okay. Well, you didn't share that program with anybody, and you certainly didn't share the payroll data with anybody. So everything was fine. That's the way things worked. Well, then time went by and people realized that computers could do a pretty good job with word processing. So different companies, including Microsoft, came up with a word processing tool. There was many of them. What were some of them, Drew? You remember some of the word processors? There was WordPerfect and
Yeah, there was Microsoft Word was around from the beginning.
right.
WordPerfect. There was Lotus had one that was called um uh I forget what it was called. Lotus had one called Symphony.
Yes, I remember that. Lotus had a series of programs. They
Yeah.
also had a spreadsheet program that competed with Excel for a while. Okay, so people were starting to write letters and they would write a document. And then let's say they use Microsoft Word to write the document. And you wanted to send this document to somebody because it was a project, you did a lot of work on it, you sent it to somebody, and you sent it via email as an attachment. And they got the email with the attachment. Your email said, "Hey, here's the data you asked for. It's a document. It's my report, and let me know if you have any problems understanding it." Well, they go to try to open the report and it wouldn't open because they didn't have Microsoft Word. Okay, so this causes a problem. And if I fast forward now to today, Microsoft Word can be used to create a document, and Microsoft Word gives you an opportunity to save that document as a different file type. One popular file type is PDF, .pdf. And any file type you can look up on Google and put in the file type and say, tell me about dot or period PDF. And it'll tell you all about it, and it will tell you what programs can create it and what programs can read it. But PDF started as a universal print format that if you use WordPerfect or Microsoft Word or some other word processor, if you could save it as a PDF, anybody could open it because PDF readability was many times built into the operating system of your computer. You couldn't edit it. You could save it and open it later as a file, but you couldn't edit it in those days. Okay. So now we have today where a given program that is popular, like Microsoft Word, can open files that have been created by other word processing programs. And likewise, Microsoft Word can save a document as another different kind of file type or type of file. So the file type is a code at the end of the file name. It's actually part of the file name itself. And it's always at the end of the file name after a period or dot, and the last 3 or 4 characters of the file name is the file type. And that identifies the type of file that is, so you can look it up on Google and find out what program do I need to open it. Now we're going to get into some examples, so I'm going to go to screen share. We'll see what we can look at here. So we'll do share. Get rid of this. That's how I can log on to you guys. Okay, you should see my screen. Does everybody see it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. The only time you need to be concerned or worry about file types is when you get a file that you did not create. If you created a file on your computer, you can always open that file because obviously you have the program, the application, or the software that can read the file because you use that same program to create the file. Okay? So if I open up Microsoft Word, and I'm using this as an example, as a program that can open different file types and save files as different file types. And I open up a blank document and I type in, this is a test document. Okay, and I want to save this file. I go to File, and I always recommend using Save As. And I'll tell you why later, and remind me if I forget. But you go to Save As, and you can browse to find where you want to save the file. Okay, and I probably want to save it in Documents, which is already here. And then look down here. File name. Where did it get that file name from? In Microsoft Word, the file name by default that Microsoft Word is going to use is going to be the first text in your file. But you can change that name. You can click on it. It's already highlighted, so it's already been selected, highlighted. So you can go right in here and change the name to any name you want. Let's say sample text. Okay. And look at the extension at the end of the file name, .docx. .doc and .docx both indicate that that file or document was written by Microsoft Word. Okay. Now look at the next line, save as type. It's going to save it by default as a Microsoft Word document. But if you go over here to the right side, let me move it over a little bit, there's an arrow. And if you click that arrow, you get all the different file types you can use to save this file if you wish. Most people don't bother. Most people don't care, because if you send this document to somebody else as an attachment, they probably can open it because they either have Microsoft Word or some word processor that can open Microsoft Word document files. And here's the PDF option. So if I sent this Microsoft Word file as an attachment to somebody in an email, and they did not have Microsoft Word or any other app that could open a Microsoft Word document file, they would call me and say, Jim, I can't open the file. What do I do? Well, I said, it's a Word document. Don't you have Microsoft Word? No, I don't. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Maybe you can open it in Google or open it in something else. But anyway, I can tell them, let me save the file as a different file type for you. I will save it as a PDF. And if I save it as a PDF, 99.9% will be able to open it. Okay. But look at all these other options: rich text format, RTF, plain text. There's different options. You can look them up. I won't take the time to describe them to you because you can look up the ones that pertain to you, that you're interested in. Look it up on Google and ask about it. It will tell you what programs or apps can create those kind of files and what programs or apps can read that kind of file. Sometimes, very, very rarely, you can have an app that can read a file of a file type but cannot write a file of that file type. That can happen. Are there any questions so far? Okay, I'm not going to save my document. It's out of this. But that is one example of the different file types that you can use with one app. You can read files of different file types, and you can write files, save it as a different file type. Okay, do I want to save it? No, don't save it. Now I'm going to show you my email real quick. I don't think there's, here's an email I sent to myself with some sample attachments. Okay, so the only time that you would be concerned with a file type is if you got a file from somebody sending it to you as an attachment, or a file you downloaded from the internet. And you try to use the file and it doesn't work. So is a simple email that I sent to myself, and I have a bunch of attachments. This one's a photograph, and you can see the file type is right there, .jpeg. JPEG is I think, the most popular format for photographs, but there are others. There are many others. Okay, this is a letterhead. This is a DOT, not a DOC, but a DOT, and that indicates it is DOTX, that it is a template for what Microsoft Word. It's not technically a document, it's a template for different uses in Microsoft Word. Here's a score sheet that I did for a game, and I use Microsoft Publisher to create the score sheet. And when you use Microsoft Publisher app, it will save it by default as a publisher file .pub. So you have to have an app that can open a PUB file type if you want to see it. Well, over here, let me move this over a little bit here. I'm sorry. Let's see. So, okay. Here's the five crown score sheet PUB. Oh, I'm sorry. I transferred the wrong one in here. I have two 5 crowns score sheets. One that I saved as a publisher file .pub, and another one that I saved as a PDF, so that people can print the score sheet without having to have the publisher app. And I copied the wrong one here. This is another different version of the same score sheet in actual publisher PUB file type. But this is how you get files. And if you put your mouse on it, you should be able to see the file type. And you can save the file, even though you can't open it. You can save the file, but there's no reason to save a file you can't open. Are there any questions about attachments to emails and files? Okay. Now I want to go to, let's get out of my email here. We'll go get it out of the way. We're going to go to our old friend, File Explorer. And I'm going to show you some things on File Explorer, and then we'll open it up for discussion and questions. File Explorer is very, very important for all Windows users. I think I spent 2-hour sessions on File Explorer because it's so important for Windows. File Explorer comes with folders already with File Explorer for documents. Let's see, I have to admit somebody here, I'm sorry. Okay, they should be admitted. So it has folders already built in for you for documents and pictures, music, and videos. And if I go to documents, I can see all the folders. This will show, there we go. And I can scroll down and these are files. Now I can see the file types right here. This is a JPEG file. This is a .doc file. So it's important to me to be able to see the file type right in the name of the file on File Explorer. So if you don't do that, here's how you make it happen. You go to View for your viewing options. And there are many viewing options for File Explorer, and I encourage you to experiment and look at the different view options. Well, we're going to hit the arrow and get the different size icons, detailed lists, which is what I like, tiles, content, and details pane, which is not displayed right now, but I have that option to be able to show it. And then I come down to show, and over here, I have the navigation pane, which is this thing over here. So I recommend that be turned on. And the item checkboxes, that kind of helps because I get to check a box next to the file name to highlight or select more than one at a time. It's easier if you had to copy some files or whatever. But the one that's important for this class is file names extensions. And I have it checked to turn it on. If I select it again to deselect it, you see that my file name extensions are gone from my list. So I want to turn it on. Now, if you don't want to turn it on, if you put your mouse on it, you'll get a little pop-up window that will show you the type of document it is. Like this one is a Microsoft Word 97 file type from 2003, that edition of Microsoft Word 97. So it's an old Microsoft Word document. Can I open up in the new Word? Yeah, because they're upward compatible. If you get the latest Word, it should be able to open up all the previous older Word documents. But anyway, if you don't have the file type turned on, you can see the file type right here. This is a JPEG file. It tells you the file type right away. Okay. But I like to turn it on. So once again, I go to View, get the arrow, come down to Show menu of this displayed, and I click on File Name Extensions to turn it on. And now I have the file name extensions right with my file name. Another help on File Explorer for Windows is if you use the view I use, which right now is the detail list view, which I like. I use it all the time except for photographs. And the reason I like it is you get the column headings, name, date modified, and type. You get the file type right over here. Well, what's really neat about that in this view version is I can click on it, and now all the file types of the same type are together. Here are all my JPEG files. Here are all my Microsoft Word files, and so forth. And you see the little arrow up there that indicates I'm sorting by the file type. The folders come first. They're not files. Folders are not files. And if I click it again, it will sort it in the reverse. Same with the name column. I click on the name. They're sorted alphabetically by name, folders first, and then the files alphabetically, regardless of file type. And if I click the name heading again, click, the arrow is now pointing down and is sorting my files alphabetically from Z to A. And the folders are at the bottom from Z to A. So that's my quick overview of file types. It's about a half hour. And I wanted to be sure that you understood a little history of it, that you can always find the file type in documents or folders by moving your mouse to the name of the file, and it should open up a box that'll have the file type in it. You can turn on file types in Windows Explorer. You should be able to see the file types and any attachments that you receive in email. So what are your questions and comments about file types? What file types have you run into that have problems?
Jim, I'm
Yes.
using I'm using LibreOffice, and that seems to be different from Windows.
Is your computer a Windows computer?
A Windows
Yeah,
computer. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, does it have this
Yeah.
little box in the lower left corner?
Yes.
Okay, you're using a
Yeah.
Windows computer and you're using an application on the Windows computer. And I am not knowledgeable of that application. Maybe Drew has a
Well,
comment.
yeah. LibreOffice, although it has the capability of opening, reading, and writing Microsoft Word docx files, by default, it uses an open document format that has a different file extension than what you get with Microsoft Word. And that's why you're seeing it different.
Oh, okay.
However, if you went on Windows and you went to File Explorer, that would be the same as we did today. You would
Oh,
see the
okay.
same things. So if you're looking for files on Windows without using Libra, you can use File Explorer.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good question, but I'm sorry. That's one of the problems we have with doing training is we try to do a group training and everybody, well, not everybody, but people they have individual apps that they like to use. And we can't have an app class for one app that one or two people use in the whole Stug membership. You know, we try to pick a topic like Windows that affects everybody, the most people, so most people can attend.
Okay.
Kate, you have your hand up. Kate, go ahead.
Thank you.
Vincana, if you save things in LibreOffice, the extension would be .odc, ODT. And-
Yes, it is saying that ODT.
Right.
Oh, yes, ODT. Mhm.
That indicates what the document was created with. If you want to open, for example, a .doc, something that somebody else did in Microsoft Word, you can click on that. And if your computer's set up properly, it'll say, we can open this, but you might lose some formatting. Do you want to proceed? And usually it's really safe to proceed. You usually don't.
I think that's my problem. I'd be hesitating because I don't know how to answer the question.
Okay, the question is, go ahead and try it. You're not going to hurt anything.
Okay.
I'm sure Jim is planning to talk about the default program.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, you won't be hurting anything. You might be losing something. If the original document is fancy, if it has columns and pictures, they might move around a lot. But you're usually okay. LibreOffice is pretty good about that.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
That's a good question, Kate, to bring up is that let's just take Microsoft Word as an example. If you have an old document from the 90s that you created in Microsoft Word and it's still in your computer, and you open it up in the new Microsoft Word, it should be compatible and it should carry through all the correct formatting. the paragraph formatting, the spaces between paragraphs, whether it's italics or bold text, that kind of thing. Okay. But what happens occasionally is that if you try to open an old file in a newer app that is different from Microsoft Word, it may not correctly bring the formatting and format the document correctly, and you have to go over it and read it carefully to see if some spacing issues have occurred or some other formatting things have occurred. So there can be a problem opening up something with a later version of an app that doesn't recognize some of the older versions. The other danger is with the newer version of the app, you have bells and whistles that were not in the earlier versions. So if you went to an early version and you're using an old app and you want to do something that, well, I've done it in Word, why can't I do it here? Well, maybe the app is so old that you're using that it doesn't allow for those bells and whistles to occur. Okay. Now, Kate, you brought up another issue. You said Jim's going to talk about, and I forgot what that was.
It's the file associations
Yeah,
in
the
your settings of the
default.
computer.
The default.
The
Yes,
defaults.
thank you. Right. Okay. Here I'm back in documents, in the documents folder, and I'm using the File Explorer app. Okay. If I'm in File Explorer and I want to open up a program, there's two ways, open up a file. There's two ways to open a file. The first way to open a file is to open the app that you want to use with that file. You open up the app first, and you use the app to open the file. Okay, that's usually the best way. The other way, which is the fastest and most convenient way, is to go to File Explorer. You're looking for a file. You don't know where it is. So you open up File Explorer and you look for a file. And here's one, and you want to open it. If you double click on the file name, your computer will do its best to open that file for you. So this, I know, is a .doc file, meaning it's a Microsoft Word document. So if I double click it, I bet it's not only going to open the file, but it's going to open up in Microsoft Word. Let's watch what happens. You'll see Microsoft Word flash on the screen first. There's Microsoft Word, and there's my file. Real quick. But notice that I'm in Microsoft Word now. I did not pick Microsoft Word as being the app I wanted to use to open that file. So how did it open it? Well, your computer, for almost every file type, has a default program associated with that file type. And the default program for my documents that I want to open, the default app to open documents for me is Microsoft Word. So if I double click, let me exit Microsoft Word here. If I go to a different file type, let's say HTML file type, which is, by the way, this is a list of my bookmarks from my browser. I like to save my bookmarks in case something goes wrong with my browser. But say I want to try to open this file, I'm going to double click on it. Okay, it opens it up, it recognizes the file, and it opens it up in Bookmark, so I can work with it and play with it. Let's try another one. These are sorted by name. Here's a JPEG. Let's find a little pictures. We've got lots of JPEGs. And we can go to, if we want, we can go to view detail list. So it looks like the other view we were just in. And here is a JPEG. And if there's not enough room here, you can just slide the title bar over and make more room for your columns. And if I double click this one, I get the picture. And it opened it in what? It opened it in the picture viewer app that comes with Windows. Because that's the default. I have not purchased, what is it, Adobe Photoshop, something like that. So if I purchased a app that works with photos and I say, oh gosh, I'm going to pay $100 and I want this app that will allow me to do all kinds of wonderful things with photos. And I get that app and I install the app, you're going to get a question that appears on your screen that says, do you want to make Adobe Photoshop your default app for viewing or working with photos? And if you say yes, and you probably should because you're paying money for the app, you might as well use it. Then every time you click on a JPEG, it will open in Adobe Photoshop because that is your default app for that file type. Same thing with Word. If I installed Word, it would ask me at installation, do you want to make Word, the app, Microsoft Word, the default app for opening documents? And I said yes. So if I click on any document with any other file type, you saw the long list that Word can open. It probably will be able to open that document, even though it was not originally written by Word and saved as a Word file type. So since we're on file types and we're talking about defaults, let's see if we can find our list of defaults. I haven't done this before class, so I'm glad somebody brought it up. I go to search and I'm going to enter in default apps. And here, default apps, system settings. So I could go to settings or control panel, look for settings, and I probably will get this. And I'll get to my default apps. And I don't know if I'm correct, but I believe you can only have one default app selected for an app. In other words, for a file type, let's see if we go to Word, see what Word shows us here. Word, here we go. And I click the arrow. And apps, default apps, Word. So I have Word for all these file types, .doc, .docn, .tocx, .dot. DOT's the templates. They're all Microsoft Word. So if I click on a file that has .wiz as a file type, I have no idea what that is, by the way. It would open in Word, and I could work with it. I could edit it. I could save it. So this is how you get your list of default apps, and you can change it. You can change the app. I do not do that. I'm sorry. I'm scared to change it. If everything's working for me, and I can open my files, I'm not going to change the default app. The only time I have changed a default app is when I download a new program or install a new app, and it asks me, do you want to make this app the default for these kinds of files? And I usually say yes. Otherwise, why would I install it? You know? Are there any questions? Am I
Kate has
that
a question.
good, or is people all asleep, or what?
Kate has her hand up.
Kate, please. Kate, I'm sorry.
No problem. I changed a default app with no problem whatsoever. People send me photographs from their iPhones, and the default suffix is .heic, I believe. My computer did not know what to do with that, so I went into default apps, changed the program that would open those files to a program I use to view photographs, and it does it automatically now. If you
Okay.
send me something from your phone, it'll come across as an HEIC. I open it in my program to look at pictures, and it automatically change it to a JPG. So that
That's
there's no
great.
extra steps involved of
Right.
trying to transfer it.
There is a problem. See, Kate, you already had a program that could open that file type. You already had an app installed that could do that. Another problem that happens is if somebody sends you an attachment and you go to open it and you do not have any app installed that would open it, you're going to get a message that says, cannot open this file type. What do you want to use to open it? It gives you a list. And to me, I hope Drew will give comments after my comment here, is I don't want to download from that list an app that I don't know. And I don't want to use an app on that list that I don't know, even if I use it only once. What I would do is research. I would find that app, I would find the extension for the file, look at it and try to understand and decide then what is the app I really want to download to use that file. Drew, do you have a comment on that about if you don't have an app to open a file?
I would recommend, there used to be a website that was called File EXT, something or other. Yeah, there it is. Let me put this in the chat. This will help everybody.
Okay, thank you.
This is a website that has been tracking file extensions for decades.
Oh,
And it goes back to the beginning of time. And it will tell you about the file extension and what programs are capable of opening it.
is
Cool.
it a file? I'm sorry, Drew, is it a website address? Could I just enter it and go there?
Yeah, I just put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the chat now.
Okay, we'll leave it in the chat then. That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah,
I do.
but it's been there for over 20 years. And they claim to have helped more than 50 million users identify, open, or view unknown files.
But again, I just want to make sure you understand that if you can't open a file and you get a list of possible apps to use, do not just click on anything on that list and try it. I would definitely look on Google and ask about any app before downloading or using on your computer. I do want to show you one other thing that may prompt more questions, I don't know. But I'm going to go to the Paint program. Now, the Paint program comes free with Windows. And let's see, I have it on my desk. There it is. The Paint program comes free with all editions of Windows. But like any app, it has changed and improved with each release of Windows. So I'm going to open it. I'm on Windows 11. And this is the Paint application. It's a lot of fun. If you're not used to it, it's not that hard to use. You can watch some simple videos on YouTube of how to use Paint. You basically can draw whatever you want. You can set your own colors. You can change your pen or pencil. You can change your tool to do a brush in a different color. So anyway, you can do a lot of things with Paint. You can also open up photographs in Paint, and you can alter your photographs. Now, Paint is not intended to be a super duper do-it-all photo editor. It is not intended to be a good photo editor, but it will let you do some very interesting and safe, fun things with your photos. You could put text on your photos. You could rotate your photos. You can crop your photos. And not much else. But anyway, if I created a file, and I think I can make things feel different here. Yeah, wider, you make a wider brush. Anyway, so I created this beautiful artwork, and I want to save it. I go to File, and I go to Save As. And look, I get choices. I can save it as any of these file types. And most likely, for my use, I want to save it as a JPEG. So I can do that. And then, since I'm in Save As, and I click JPEG, it's going to give me the Save As window. So I can change the name from Untitled to whatever name I want. And it's going to save it as a JPEG, which also means all of these file types. Or just like in Word, I can click the arrow and save it as a different file type. Isn't that interesting? I think it's really cool. You can do that. So today, things are very flexible with a lot of apps. They can open different file types, and they can save it as different file types. And you don't have to do a different file type unless you have a need to do it. If you can open your files, you're fine. It's only when somebody gives you a file that you can't open that you have a problem with file types. Okay, one more thing with Paint. If I want to open a file in Paint, remember I said there's two ways. One way to open a file is to go to the app, in this case, the Paint app, and then go to File, and then go to Open. This guarantees that no matter what file I click on, it's going to try to open it in the Paint program. So it's most likely only going to display in my choices files that can be opened in the Paint program. I wouldn't want to open a Word file in the Paint program because a Word file is not a picture or a drawing. But I can open up, say, a PNG file and then click Open. Do I want to save my work? Well, I know you're all clamoring, wanting to buy my artwork, but I'm not going to save it. Sorry. And there is the file. And I can play with it. I can add text to it, change it, and so forth. Now, one last thing, and then we'll close up. If I'm not open in Paint, and I'm in the File Explorer for Windows, and I go to a picture, and I want to open a picture. Oh, let's see. Okay. And I want to open, oh, that's ugly. I don't want to go back to pictures, open something different. Okay, say I want to open this picture. If I double click on it to open it, what's it going to use to open it? Click, let's find out. It's not the Paint program. it opens it up in the photo viewer program for Windows. Because I did not select the paint program to be my default. So the default viewer program for this file type, JPEG, if I double click on a JPEG file type in Windows, the Windows default is the photo viewer. I don't like that they don't tell you the name of the program up here, the name of the app, but I always call it photo viewer, but it maybe just called the photo app for Windows. I don't know. And you could do things in this app too. You can play with it, rotate it, maybe do some other things, but that's the difference between using a program to open up a file versus double clicking the file name in File Explorer and using the default that you get with that file type. Are there any questions? We covered a lot. I hope it was helpful.
I have one question.
Please, Kate, go ahead.
Is there any substantial difference between .jpg and .jpeg?
I don't know.
Drew, do you know? I
I
don't think it
have-
really matters.
I have no clue.
Okay. I don't think it really matters. You handle them both the same way.
They do. What could have happened in the past is they could have merged in one application that worked with one file type. The photos may have gone away, and the other app that works with photos said, "I better update my app to accept those file types, so people can still open them." Things happen.
And also a remark about changing the file extension that opens up things. I changed the HEIC to open, as I said, in my program that I use for pictures, and it was no problem whatsoever. Now they open easily. The file,
Okay.
the extension, if anybody the program, if anybody wants it, is called Irfan View, IRFAN.com. It's free, it's safe, and it's you can do all sorts of things with it. I open all my pictures in that app.
But could you put that in the chat, Kate, for me, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
One more thing I really want to mention before we close up is that I'm using Word as an example here. Let me open up. Let me do it this way. If I go to File Explorer and I get to a file and I want to rename the file, I can right click on it and I can go down to rename or up to rename. Windows 11 has the most popular ones at the top here. And I can go to rename and I can rename the file. Do not mess with the file extension. You cannot change the file by changing the name in the file extension. In other words, I shouldn't mess with .jpg. I should leave that alone. Do not mess with the file extension if you change a file name. Okay, last call for questions. Thank you all for attending, and my special thanks to Drew and Kate for their contributions. I really appreciate it. And since we're getting a low number for classes, we're using up, obviously, Drew and myself and Kate are joining. Well, we all learned something true, but we're joining to contribute, to discuss, and to help you. And we're not getting that many people that are attending these things, so I'm going to have to look at it again, and I'll let you know with an email. So I want to thank you all for coming. Looks like Cliff is an hour. Didn't set his clock last weekend. Just joining now. And so we're going to sign off. Are there any other questions?
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. Good job.
Thank you all very much. Signing off. Thank you. Have a great week. Bye-bye.